Giants getting ready to break for camp. One of their guards, Adam Gettis, kind enough to join me for a couple moments. How you been, Adam?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Good to talk to you again, and let's get right to it. I know camp is right around the corner for you guys, and it's interesting. You always have these conversations with players after tough playoff exits, and you look at what transpired last year with this club, winning 11 games. It was tough. The issues well documented on that offensive line, but you go back to that playoff game against the Green Bay Packers, and I'm just curious. That's a game where, if you take away that Hail Mary, well, let me get your thoughts on this. Did that Hail Mary Hail Mary play by Aaron Rodgers, did that deflate you guys going into the locker room?
It was tough when Aaron Rodgers threw that Hail Mary, so a lot of guys were, were a little deflated. It happens. That happens to any team, but, you just got to come out and be ready to play and score some more touchdowns. So, that's what it comes down to.
When you look at this offense and the addition of Brandon Marshall, and like I said, it always goes back to the offensive line and pass blocking and pass protection and run blocking. You throw in Beckham, you've got Shepard. The Giants have drafted, it seems like, a pretty quality tight end as well. I mean, on paper, this is a team that you believe once that offense starts clicking, you guys should be okay?
Yeah, we got a lot of weapons on offense, and, the offensive line is definitely going to step up this year. We're going to have a run game so we can balance that pass game. And, it's going to be tough for teams to either guard Brandon Marshall or guard OBJ. So, and then we got the two guys in the middle, Ingram and Shepard. So it's going to be nice. They practice well, and I can't wait to see what happens.
I'm just curious, and then I got a couple of football but not Giant-like related questions for you. But how about a quarterback in Eli Manning? We always talk about. I think there's something to be said when a quarterback doesn't get hurt, goes out there every Sunday, is pretty consistent, has won before, but it seems as though no matter what, stats aside, people look at Eli and they kind of tilt their head a little bit and say, well, he did win 2 Super Bowls, 2-time MVP, yeah, but how about just playing with a guy like Eli Manning and seeing that type of veteran quarterback back there?
Eli's just so cerebral in everything he does. On the field, off the field, he's reading defenses like crazy out there. We're just checking out the line when, the offensive line doesn't even see it. And, we're calling most of the checks. And like I said, he's just so cerebral. He's one of the best that played the game. 2 times Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's kind of hard to beat. He's a little older, but he's still got it. He can end up winning a Super Bowl for us this year. So I'm glad he's on our team.
Well, when you look around the NFL and you see some of the older veterans, the Eli's, the Big Bens, the Phillip Rivers, Brady, that just seems like he's not slowing down. Rodgers even made the comment he's on the back 9 of his career. And then you look at some of these young quarterbacks. If you kind of step out of the giant blue for a moment and you look at some of these young quarterbacks, I'm just curious to get your thoughts or assessments. If you've, obviously you guys played against the Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz, but if you've had a chance to watch Wentz a little bit, or a guy like Dak Prescott last year with the Cowboys, and what your what your thoughts were on those 2 quarterbacks.
That's a really good quarterback, but he's also got some talent around him. He has one of the better offensive lines around him, so he's not going to get touched much. And but I do like Dak a lot. He's got Elliott back there running the rock for him, so he doesn't have to, keep it too much. But you can tell he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks coming out. Same thing with Carson Wentz. That guy's going to be a great quarterback for the Eagles for a long time. So they're going to be good.
Yeah, you look at with the Dallas Cowboys defensively losing some players, some suspensions and some issues, and then the Philadelphia Eagles making some moves with the offense and bringing in guys like Jeffries and bringing Smith and LeGarrette Blount, who I think you have an opportunity. Any guy that has an opportunity to potentially block for that running back and create some holes, that he's going to give some defenses fits, because I think he's got a lot left in the tank, and you know this well than anyone, right? If you can't run the football in the NFL come November, December, if you can't pick up those hard yards, or if you're playing ahead, if you're trying to play with the lead or go into your 4-minute offense and protect that lead, it's tough. You're not going to win a lot of football games, especially in the NFC East. You have to win the football, I think, first and foremost. Then second, I think you have to get to the quarterback.
I agree 100%. You got to be able to run the ball, especially with, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 1s. If you aren't getting those, you ain't winning too many games. And like you said, LeGarrette Blount's a good running back. I got to play with him when I was with the Steelers. He's a big body in there. He's going to get you 2-3 yards. Even if, the offensive line doesn't do the job, he's going to get you 2 or 3 yards. So, like you said, November, December, that's when it really counts. And, if you don't got a back that can do that, it's going to be tough for you.
Is there much of a difference? I mean, I know there's a difference when you talk about run blocking and pass protection, but you mentioned, you bounced around a little bit with the Skins and then the Steelers, the second stint with the Giants and then the Raiders. You played with Blunt in Pittsburgh, and obviously the quarterback was Big Ben, and Eli and Big Ben came out at the same time. But is it different from an offensive line standpoint when you start talking about pass protection? Like, you look at Green Bay and the fact that all you need to do is give Rodgers a little bit of time, and then you look what you guys are doing in New York, and Eli can improvise time to time, but we know he's not going to scramble. He wants to stay in the pocket, but just right, he's not fleet of foot. But talk a little bit about just the pass protection. Does it change depending upon the type of quarterback that's back there?
It's so many different factors. One of the factors is the team you're playing. You're going to scheme for their team, so you might run a certain pass protection for that. Also, it depends on your quarterback. If you got a fleet-footed guy that can run like an Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be different. Or if you got a guy like Phillip Rivers that's going to stand back there and throw the ball, it's going to be different too. Also, depends on your running back. If you got a good blocking running back, you can run 6, 7, 8-man protections. Compared to if you don't have a great running back that can block back there, you may be a third down back, and you might run more 5-man protection. So it really depends on what you want to do.
Get a couple minutes with Giants guard Adam Gettis. Rich Quinones here. Before I ask you some unrelated NFL questions, when you look at these defenses right now in the NFL and some of these ends and some of these tackles, I'm just curious, who are some of the guys that you knew that you were going to have a field day with, or whether it was game day or in practice? I mean, you look at what the Giants have in that defense right now, and you even practice and training camp going up against some of those guys. But are there some some tackles out there where you just said, man, you know what, I don't want any part of this guy?
I'll tell you what, we've got some of the best defensive tackles and defensive ends in the league, and that's just not coming from a Giants standpoint. That's coming from a lot of my buddies around the league. We got Olivier out there who's one of the best defensive ends, but one of the best run stoppers in the league. We got Snacks in the middle who's stuffing everybody. That guy is massive. Huge acquisition last year. Yes, he was. I'm glad he's on my team this year, so I have to go against him in the preseason. But another guy you always got a game plan for from the Packers is Mike Daniels. He's very cerebral also. He disrupts offenses, run blocking. They put him in on third down every once in a while, but, you got a game plan for that guy. Dominican Sue's another guy in Miami. And what's the guy's name from the Eagles? Logan. No, Benny Logan's not there anymore. What's the other guy?
Fletcher Cox.
91. Fletcher Cox. Yeah, that guy's a monster.
Yeah, he's a good ball player.
Yeah, we ski for him all the time. So that's another guy. That was for
it's funny, too, because sometimes you only look at stats from the defensive standpoint, right, getting to the quarterback, but you're talking hits, you're talking disruption. You mentioned Mike Daniels. You look on the film, he's double-teamed a lot. When a guy like Sue, when you double-team these guys, it's not always about the sacks, but it's also, getting to the quarterback a little bit, or at least being disruptive, because once they start to get happy feet, that's when you start to see they want to get rid of the football a little more, and then your secondary feast off that, because that's when they get some turnovers.
Exactly. You don't want the quarterback back there playing hot potato, getting the ball out after 2 seconds. So, like you said, you have to double team guys like Mike Daniels, Fletcher Cox, because they're great players. They're able to disrupt the quarterback and disrupt the play. You try to keep the quarterback as clean as possible. Like you said, it's not just sacks; it's hits on the quarterback and putting their hands in the air and knocking down passes. A lot of factors to it. So you got to rely on the front five, and once you double team one guy, the other 3 got to be really good at their pass blocking and have the fundamentals down.
What's your thought? I know there's some talk that the NFL is hoping to maybe land a franchise in London, and the players that I've spoken to, they can't stand that trip. I'm just wondering, as a player, I mean, that's got to be a brutal trip. I mean, is that something do you get the sense from other players that you've talked to, if that happens? I mean, you got to talk about logistics, you got to talk about competitive balance, but is that a trip you would look forward to?
You know what? It's really a mixed bag from what I've heard from the guys. You got some guys that are like, oh, this sucks. Got to fly 6 hours across the pond and, having to get up and the hour changes. But some guys love it. They love the experience to be able to go to London and play on a completely different field that they've never played on before. So really it's a mixed bag. For me, it was fun. I've never been out of the country before, so that was my first time out of the country, and I was able to see some things like Big Ben and the Big Eye, and it was really cool. I enjoyed it.
That's a fair answer. I mean, you played with a Big Ben. You might as well get to go see a Big Ben. So,
Exactly.
All right. So I want to. If you can answer this, you don't have to. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't know if you heard the comments that Richard Sherman said about, you look at the NFL and some of the contracts that the NBA players are getting, and we know the life expectancy of an NFL player. Remember, it used to be 5 years. Now it's about 3 years. Sometimes it's 2 years, depending upon the position. He said, listen, guys got to get paid, and guys got to look at the contracts and try to get that more guaranteed money up front. And maybe there's a potential down the road where if there's a little more of a softer stance and money goes up, the NFL's not prone to see some of the players strike. So he said, listen, these players got to reevaluate how they look at some of these contracts and longevity. You're a player in the NFL. Adam, is it still 5 years or 7 years where they technically say tenure in the NFL?
Now it's 5 years.
Okay.
Get 5 credit this season.
Okay, so with that being said, is there credence to what he says? I mean, I guess it's apples to oranges because you're looking at some of these contracts that some of these NBA players are making. I believe, if anything, an NFL player, and you speak to this, you can get that guaranteed money up front. You take that guaranteed money up front.
Exactly. I agree. I'm an NFL player, so of course I'm going to say, yeah, let's get paid more guaranteed money. But at the same time, like you said, apples and oranges. The NBA's got so many players. We have a little bit more. But what I think it should be, we should have more guaranteed contracts. Like you said, guaranteed contracts up front. There's a lot of guys with minimum contracts. They're out of the league after 2, 3, 4 years, so they're still on their rookie contract. So they only make so much money. Why not guarantee their whole rookie contract, and then whatever happens after that, it happens. The NFL expectancy is only, I think, 3.5 years now. I think it's down to 3 now. So why not just go ahead and guarantee their rookie contract, and then whatever happens after that happens?
It's also, too, I think, when you look at some of the contracts with the quarterbacks, right? And then you look at, the offensive line. Everyone knows there's nothing wrong with overpaying for tackles, right? And guards, because
right.
You need that offensive line. But let me just counter that and ask you this. So with that being said, you're talking about the guaranteed money and the guaranteed contracts. To me, I look at it from the outside, and do you think the NFL is the only sport where a guy gets paid, he's getting paid for what he did or what the franchise thinks he's going to do?
It's a little bit of both. You have some players that, play great 4 years, or, the first 4 years on their rookie contract, they get paid, and all of a sudden, they kind of drop off for 2 or 3 years. But then you got some guys that, they're getting drafted. They get drafted in the first round. Oh, we're going to give this guy all this money, and then he turns out to be a bust. So it can go both ways. It's very tough for franchises to kind of figure that out.
And position by position is different, right? Because all of a sudden a defensive end or tackle's cashing in. Then if there's an impending free agent on another team and he plays the same position, his eyes get wide open because he says, wow, this is what the market bears. I can go out and cash in.
Exactly, and a lot of guys do that. You may have a defensive tackle that gets paid $100 million, and then the guy from another team is like, okay, this is my time to step it up, and next year, since he got $100 million, I'm going to get, 120 next year. So, yeah, it definitely varies.
All right, 2 more quickies for you. We'll get to the wrestling in a second, but right now on paper, is this Giant team, are they a playoff team?
Oh, yeah, of course. With Ben as our head coach, and Reese as our general manager, who did a hell of a job in the draft this year, I think we're definitely a playoff team, hands down. I know we're definitely going to make it to the first round, and we're going to kick butt there, and we're going to keep playing and work up for that Super Bowl.
All right, now I don't know how many football players out there they're big time wrestling fans like yourself. I'm not a wrestling guy. I told you I'm a boxing MMA guy. I'm a boxing purist. I'm a boxing guy, but I think the last wrestling match or event I ever saw on TV was probably SummerSlam back in '89.
We're talking some years now, but yeah, like you said, you're a boxing purist. I'm a wrestling purist, so I've been watching since 1994, and I can give you almost a history of, WWF or WCW, whatever. But there's a few guys. Anytime I go to a wrestling match, at Prudential or Barclays, I try to grab 1 or 2 guys. Last guy I brought with me was Perkins, and he fell right back in love with wrestling. So every time I go,
Paul Perkins?
You gotta bring me. Yeah, Paul Perkins. He's like, you gotta bring me. Same thing with Win. I took him last year, Kerry Wynn. He's like, okay, you got to bring me. You got to bring me. You got to bring me. So I'm like, okay. I'm starting to bring some of the guys with me, and they have a ball.
So you jump on some different wrestling podcasts, though, from time to time and talk wrestling.
Yeah, I did. Well, I do. The last couple I did was a Shot at Wrestling, and they're on iTunes, and High Spot Wrestling. So that's on iTunes, and I do a ton of them. I just love wrestling.
All right. So wait, now you've watched the SummerSlams over the years, right?
Of course.
All right, let me hold on a second. I pulled this up. Let me see if I can. I'm going to put you on the spot right here. You can you go back to 2000, 2001? Is that too long?
Refresh my memory.
Well, but see, that gives it away. I was going to quiz you. All right, let's go back to a couple years ago.
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Who did 2000 SummerSlam was in North Carolina, and there were 3 wrestlers that vied for the WWF Championship. I'll give you one of them. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you. Go ahead.
I'm going to say 2000.
Yeah.
Got to be The Rock, Stone Cold, and either Undertaker or Triple H.
It was The Rock, Kurt Angle, and Triple H. That's not bad.
I'll take it.
All right, let me give you one more before I let you get out of here. 2016. Come on, that's like yesterday.
I think I went too, so we'll see.
That was at the Barclays.
Yep, Barclays. It's been at the Barclays last 2 years.
So who did Randy Orton fight? Who did Randy Orton take on?
Ooh, I'm not a Randy Orton fan, so I don't think I pay attention.
He played. I believe he actually had a stint in the NFL, or he tried to make a comeback and play in the NFL.
Randy? I don't know about
No,
Randy.
not Randy. No, the guy that he fought.
Oh, so is it Brock? No, it couldn't have been Brock.
No, you're right. There you go. You got to go with your gut. You'd be horrible on Jeopardy, man. You got to go with your gut.
Well, there's some NFL guys. You got Brock Lesnar, who was with the Vikings. The Rock was I think he played in college and played in the league.
Yep.
Baron Corbin, who played for Arizona.
Yeah.
Then you have
how about D'Angelo Williams?
Which was awesome. I give him credit because I actually got to do a wrestling stint for what is it called? Pro Wrestling Magic, which was awesome. But he did a whole match. I only did like maybe 15 minutes, but he did a whole match, and that was amazing.
So if the football thing doesn't work out, you're going to take up wrestling?
Hey, whoever's paying the most money.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, it's all about that. All right, my friend. Listen, I appreciate the extended time. We will certainly talk before training camp, but appreciate you jumping on board for a couple moments, pal.
No problem. Anytime.
All right, you got it, Adam. Be well. All right, good stuff there from Giants guard Adam Gettis.